Now, on to point 19, maximum 19. When was the last time you asked your subordinates to evaluate you? What are you talking about?
Okay, so what we want is we want people to be creative. We want them to put their whole heart into it. The stats you gave, you have this book you just wrote on management. It's just out of this world. I burned through it. I started at 4:30, finished it at 5:30. Really? Yeah.
Okay.
And just wrote all over it and just enjoyed it. But just had all these. But what's the subtitle on this book?
Will Not Work for Food, and it's basically a concept of how America became dumb, dishonest, and distracted.
Yeah, dumb, dishonest, and distracted. And so what happens here is subordinates are distracted. They're not, I don't know that they're dumb necessarily, but they're not showing up with smart. And what I used to do is I'd go around, ask the managers, I'd even ask the brand new staff people, and I would say, what stupid thing are we doing around here that we need to change? And they'd look at me like, you're the executive vice president, didn't you help get this business grown from ground zero? Yeah, what stupid thing are we doing that we need to stop, that we need to change? What am I doing? How can I better serve you? And so what it does is it opens them up to allow them to start solving problems. Well, they're going to start bossing me around. Don't be insecure. Rich, successful entrepreneurs learn to overcome their insecurities, and they're asking people, give me the feedback. Well, what happens if they're going to just rail all over me and all the wrongness going on there? You'll always learn if you have that idea. Get feedback from people, and they're going to tell you, hey, listen, Mr. Emperor, you may not be wearing clothes right now, and I'm going to tell you the truth. So we want to make sure we get honest feedback so we can direct our companies in a very powerful way.
Now, it's maximum 20. It says, get input, think thoroughly, yet be firm with tough decisions. That seems a little bit contradictory, maybe, or what do you mean by that?
All right, so I think about W. President Bush, the second Bush.
George Bush.
And he would say, listen, I get input from everybody, and I have them all debate about this and all this. But the one thing, I remember him debating, who was it, Al Gore?
Alvin.
Yeah, my not so good friend Al Gore. And I remember him saying, the thing that I do really well here is I will get a lot of input and then I'll make the decision. I'm a decision maker. And so you get input, you think thoroughly about all the input. Sometimes it's contradictory, but then once you make a decision, be firm in that decision, because your leadership in that decision, if you're weak in that decision, that's going to directly affect the level of commitment people have to implement or fulfill that decision. And so you want to make sure you're firm in your decision and you involve people. You're not running a democracy. When you run a company, you're not running a democracy.
What'd you say?
You're not running a democracy when you're running a company.
I see that a lot.
You've got to be the guy in charge. You want to get input from people, and you say, listen, here's the decision we're making. One of the leadership concepts we talk about is, listen, you have to learn to support a decision even if it's against the decision you wanted. Make sure you make sure you see it through, you support it, instead of contradicting it. So when you're firm in your decisions here, that's going to be contagious to help people get committed to that decision to fulfill it.
I've noticed this, it's tough because when you start a business, I see like we have one lady I'm working with, and I worked with years back, and one thing that she did was she would never make a decision. So she would get information, gather information, and she'd go, well, I think I want to do this. And then one employee would say, I don't agree. And she's like, okay, well, I'll table it, let me come back to it, and just never would make a decision. Then you see the other extreme who says, that's how I was more so. I'm like, well, we're just going to do it. We're making that decision. We are done. And they're like, but no one's even shared our viewpoint. It doesn't matter. We're doing it. And then so there's a balance there.
Right.
You have to make a decision, but the thing is get all the facts, right, and then make that decision.